This morning we're taking a little break from the Psalms, but we are going to finish up our Psalms summer series next week. So next week we'll finish up the Psalms, and then that following week we're going to restart the story. And we did the first half of the story. We did the first 15 chapters, started in January, finished up early May, and now we're going to resume the story. We're going to do the next 16 chapters, and this is going to take us almost up to Christmas. But we're going to resume the story. We got small groups that are going to be restarting. We encourage you just to sign up for a small group if you haven't done so already. We got 5 different groups meeting on different days, different times. So please just pick a group that suits your schedule. We'd love to have you involved in discussing God's story and how it applies to your story. Now, this morning we have a guest speaker. His name is Ryan Ross. He is from Open Door Ministries. Now, you probably hear about Open Door Ministries a lot because this is a ministry we partner with, and every month we send a team to their location and we prepare meals. Next Saturday, we're going to be preparing a meal at Open Door Ministries, preparing breakfast for a group of guys that are homeless and just going through a really tough time. And if you want to be part of that, if you want to prepare a meal and represent Christ to some guys that could really use some encouragement, I would encourage you to get involved and just go to Open Door. You can talk to Drew, you can talk to Chick, and they will get you plugged in and find a place for you next Saturday. Now, Ryan is here today representing Open Door. We're excited to have him. He's going to share a lot of information, and I think you're going to find it interesting and incredibly informative. I think sometimes we put some limits on what Open Door does or what we think it does, but he's going to show us that Open Door does a whole lot more. So, Ryan, I appreciate you coming here and being with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate all of your time. Again, I'm Ryan Ross. I'm the executive director at Open Door. With me today is Dynasty Ray. She does all of our social media and our outward-facing to the community website, social media, all those kind of things. And she's doing a fantastic job with that. I think most of you are familiar with Open Door and what we do. But what we have found in the last few months is we were inviting people to come for our open house. We've had 2 so far. We want to have them quarterly. And people was coming through, and everybody that has come through has said the same thing. Literally, 100% of people that have walked through has said, we had no idea that you did all of this. We are the homeless shelter, which a lot of people know about. I know that you guys volunteer a lot with us for our Father's Table, which is a soup kitchen, and our food pantry. And that's our bigger programs. We also do a housing program. We also have a separate veterans facility that only houses veterans that we partner with the VA on. And we do emergency financial assistance for anyone that is behind on their bills, on their rent, for whatever reason, they lost a job. We never pay people direct money. We always pay it to their whoever has sent them a bill or their rental agency, just to try to prevent any kind of. We don't want people to ever enter homelessness is the ideal situation. But Open Door over the last, I started in June of 2020. And we obviously during COVID, the numbers were a lot lower because we had to social distance and we had to do all the things that went into that. And we were down to about 25 men in the shelter. Right now, we're back up to 75 men in our shelter at Open Door's facility. And we've got 15 veterans at our veterans facility. So the numbers, we're back to 100% capacity with a waiting list. Our meals, and this is where you guys really help us out, and I really appreciate it. Last year, first quarter of last year, we were serving on average, January, February, March of 2023, we were averaging 4,000 meals a month served, which sounds like a lot. And if you've been to Open Door in our kitchen, people say, how did y'all turn out that many meals a month anyways? First quarter of this year, January, February, March, we're serving over 12,000 meals a month. We've tripled. And a lot of that is due to the economy. Something that we just started calculating recently, because we do have a food pantry and our veterans facility. We were just counting meals. That 12,000 is just what goes out from our Father's table. If you count that, if a family comes to us through our food pantry, and say it's a family of 4, they come to, we've got the boxes labeled 1 through 4. It's enough food for a family of 4 for 7 days. So if you come, family of 3, we give you enough meals for 3 people for 7 days. If you count how many meals we serve at our veterans facility, at Open Door, and through our food pantry, we're serving over 25,000 meals a month to the community. I don't think most people realize that we're that large, and we make that kind of impact on the community. And a lot of that is due, again, to the economy. It's due to life circumstances. And when people come to Open Door, especially the shelter, they're at their wits' end. They are rock bottom. I mean, nobody comes to the shelter just because they like it there. It doesn't happen. So it's like he was saying earlier, it's people that's lost their way. It's life happens a lot of times. I tell people anytime I speak, I came from city government. I was in city government for 18 years before I went to Open Door. And I was seeing the other side of the homeless, like what can we do to get people off the street, and but I was never seeing what got them there in the first place. And I will say right now, I was the guy that goes, well, they just made bad decisions. They're bad decision makers. They put themselves in this spot. I was very wrong about that. A lot of people, bad circumstances. They had events in life that happened that were traumatic that they couldn't work their way out of. And some people are just born into situations where they just didn't have the opportunity that a lot of us have. When you talk to a gentleman a couple of years ago, and he lost his son, wife, and mother in an 8-month span. And he's like, he abused alcohol after that. He's like, because I was just trying to get through, and that led to a job loss, and then he ends up at Open Door. So it's not, you can go back to his decision, but at the same time, people have to cope with life. And we are trying to be there to help people have a soft place to land, have that, and then take that next step. Get out of whatever crisis they're in. And we talk a lot about that at Open Door. My team, I've got a fantastic staff. And we talk a lot about what crisis looks like. And what crisis, when you think of crisis, you think of something big and bad. But it's things as simple as somebody needs to take a shower. Somebody needs to charge their cell phone. This day and age, if your cell phone dies, it's a crisis. Because most of us live on our cell phones. He was saying earlier, that's where your GPS is now. We don't even need road maps. So it is one of those things where if we can get people out of whatever that immediate crisis looks like, if they're hungry, we feed them, anything like that, then it will help them to move forward and take those next steps. And we've got a team there that's willing to work with them to try to help them with any substance abuse. We do have AA, NA meetings on site, but just general mental health, which is a huge contributing factor to homelessness. And again, that's one of those things that a lot of people just can't help. They don't have access to medication for whatever reason, and so we're there to try to help people get any kind of benefits they need, if they need prescriptions, all of that. We're looking down the road right now, and hopefully in the next 18 to 24 months, we will be building a new facility. If you have been to Open Door, just real quick, I encourage you to come tour anytime. I know a few of you have, and it just so happened Drew was there, and a couple of guys was there back when we had one of our first open houses, and they toured through. And I encourage you to come just to see what we do, see the people we work with, because it makes a difference when you actually see it and you see the difference that we can make in people's lives. And our motto is food, housing, healing, and hope. And in my opinion, the hope is the most important part. Like, we can feed you, we can put a roof over your head. But if people don't have that inspiration, that hope to take that next step, and that tomorrow will be a better day, you're really always going to be fighting that uphill battle. And that's where our faith-based community, our churches, and guys like you come in that are crucial to Open Door's success. Because it's amazing what just a kind word will do. I read a book a couple of years ago, and it was a guy who had been homeless, and he got out of it, and he had written a book about it. And he said the worst part of being homeless was not being homeless, it wasn't having money. He said it was standing with your sign at the road, and when people would pull up, you would hear them lock their doors and look the other way. And he said, because that, he goes, I understood, and he said the people I know that was standing on the street corners understood that we live now in a society where most people's not carrying cash all the time. They don't have extra money. He's like, we understood that. If people have extra change, we was hoping for it, but we understood that. But he's like, when you see them just look the other way, it was just a dehumanizing feeling. And that's where you just start to lose hope, that nobody cares. And that's where Open Door really falls into. We want to be that soft landing spot and show you that people care. And that's where this congregation, especially you guys, have helped us out for years. I've been at Open Door for 4 years, and I've looked back over our records. And we were talking about it earlier. And I know you have consistently, even all through COVID, you guys helped us out. And it goes back, I think somebody was saying that y'all have been helping out for at least 20 years. So, I mean, make a huge difference. So thank you for that. It makes your contribution, I know that you think, a lot of times, oh, we just went and served one meal. But that one meal changes a lot of people's lives. And when people just see that you care. And a lot of times, I feel like, I work in it every day, and you feel like it goes unnoticed and people aren't paying attention. And then a guy will come back a month later and go, you guys helped us get on my feet. I reconnected with a family that I haven't been around in years. You helped me get a job. It's the little things that make a big difference. And we tend to look at like the final goal, like, oh, we got this guy a job and a house, and we really got him back on his feet. But it's those little steps, those words of encouragement that our volunteers give to people that give them that inspiration and that hope to take those steps that next day. And it makes all of our jobs easier, because then they're inspired to go and be like, oh, I'm going to go find a job now. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. This new facility that we're working on, in the next 18 to 24 months, will be, the facility we're now is 15,000 square feet. The facility we're looking to build will be 60,000 square feet, and we will be able to, we're looking down the road. We're hoping we don't build and just fill it up immediately. But we're looking down the road to make sure that we have capacity to grow as the need grows. Right now, we are, I was just talking to Shirley earlier, we are in a food issue right now. We were in a crisis about that just a few weeks ago, because the need has gone up so much, and a couple of other food pantries locally have closed because they ran out of food. So we've had to have food drives. We've had to have just reach out to a lot of community members, businesses, to try to get food drives or monetary donations to try to get enough food to keep the food pantry going. And the Lord has blessed us, and we actually have not had any, we have not delayed at all. But I know Drew is trying to help out with that too, and do a food drive for us. And you also are serving next Saturday morning. So the work that you guys do, I can't express my gratitude enough for that, because it really does make a difference in the community. This new facility that we're talking about is going to be, like I said, 60,000 square feet, but we're going to partner with 21 organizations. And that is because we do what we do, and I think we do it really well, but there's some areas that we just don't. We don't target specific mental health. We don't target specific substance abuse. We've talked to Davidson Community College and Guilford Tech. They're going to do job readiness. We've talked to adult literacy agencies that's going to help guys that can't read. Be amazed how many people you see that's 50 years old that comes through Open Door that cannot read. And when I got there, I didn't know anyone that couldn't read. And when you really think about it, I mean, how many of you know someone who just cannot read? And we got guys that are like 50, 55 years old that can't read. Well, if you can't read, the chances of you ending up homeless, it goes up exponentially. But these organizations that we're going to work with, they're going to keep their facilities, but they're going to have some office space and office hours at Open Door. So instead of us going to people and saying, oh, you need to talk to the mental health associates of the Triad, which is one of our partnering groups. So, we'll get you a bus ticket and send you over there. Now we'll walk you down the hall and you can talk to them. And then if it's something they can do on site, they can work with you. If not, then they can arrange to get you to their main facility. And we're going to do that with a lot of different organizations. We're also going to have health care. We're going to have like a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant. And some nursing students from HPU, and their PA program is going to come start once we get into this facility, help us work with anyone that has like the minor health problems, sinus infections, colds, those kind of things. Because a lot of our guys, we had a guy a couple of months ago, he went to the emergency room 6 times in 6 days by ambulance for diabetes. And they would take him to the emergency room, they would get him like his levels back what they needed, do whatever they needed to do. Then they send him right back to us. Well, my staff is not equipped to deal with that. And so then he didn't, it was a new element for him. And so he didn't know how to deal with it either. And then he would have the problem the next day and go right back. Well, when you look at what that costs taxpayers just running ambulance services and emergency rooms and things like that, we're trying to prevent that. So we'll have medical care. We're going to have some dental help on site as well through HPU's dental program that they're just starting up. So what the goal is with that is we get people out of that crisis that we talked about initially and say, what can we do to help you be successful and get where you need to be as healthy as you can be when you get there. And so when somebody, if you show up at Open Door, just kind of the blueprint of that would be, if you're homeless, you start in our programs, and we would get you, you get clothes, you get bedding, you get whatever you need. If you need substance abuse counseling, mental health counseling, we can get you that. If you just need job readiness, we'll help you write a resume, we'll help you look for a job, we'll help you prep for an interview, and then get you the job. And now we're going to have financial awareness. So, because a lot of our guys, again, if they're homeless, and a lot of people just in society really don't understand their financial situation. So we've gotten, I can't tell you how many guys jobs, and they'll think, just for an example, I make $1,000 a month so I can afford $1,000 in rent. Well, 3 months later, they're back with us, and they're like, oh, we realized that we had to pay, half of that went away in taxes, and then, I had to pay my light bill and my cell phone bill, and so then they get an eviction, and it's almost impossible to house somebody once they get an eviction, especially in North Carolina and especially in Guilford County. It's just very tough because the requirements, most of these property management companies, if you've got an eviction, they will not let you. They will not let you in. So what we're trying to do is teach financial literacy and let people know, okay, this is what you can afford, and this is how you can budget your money and make sure it works out. We're going to have transitional housing on site for that specific reason, which would be like small, I don't like using the word tiny houses because it's not really tiny houses, but it's just smaller living units. That would be like a 2-bedroom, so they could still, it wouldn't have a kitchen or anything because they would still eat at Open Door, but they could eat on our property. But they would just stay there until they can save up money, see how much money they're actually making per month before we commit them to any kind of lease or anything like that. So that way we're trying to set people up for the most success possible. And again, it all goes back to, having that hope and having someone there that's willing to take the time to work with you and work through a lot of those issues. But we can't do that with a staff if we don't have the volunteers helping to do that with our food pantry. General things like landscaping even. We need because we just can't afford to do it. Because when we say we're a nonprofit, we truly are a nonprofit. I have 38 staff, and I've had people say, well, why do you need 38 staff? We're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. If at any point you ever need a service from Open Door, we have staff. We have at least, between both facilities, so our veterans facility and the Open Doors main facility, we'll have at least 2 to 4 people working at any given time. I think a lot of people don't really think about that when you think about a nonprofit like us. We're one of the few nonprofits, other than Leslie's House and the Salvation Army, that's in High Point area that is open 24 hours a day for those kind of needs. I think Caring Services does too. But we work closely with all of those organizations. I had a question earlier about who do we house in our shelter? Open Doors shelter itself does men 18 and older. So any male 18 and older that can come to Open Door. But every other service we provide is for anyone in the community. So if you come and you need food, if you need financial assistance, if you just need somebody to talk to, that is for anybody, pretty much any age. If you're under 18 years old, we try to get parents to come with them. But if anybody shows up at Open Door and needs help, we will try to get you the help you need. If we can't do it, we will get you somewhere that can. We will get cab vouchers, bus passes, whatever it takes if we need to send you somewhere else. So we work with a lot of organizations, but this new facility is really going to it'll triple us in size. But what it's going to do is also really provide that hope that we were talking to for people to really get out in the community, and we'll be able to provide a lot more to the area. It's very exciting. It's very ambitious. But again, we're looking forward to that. It's 21 acres in the 5 Points area. If anybody's wondering, we're having community meetings next week about it on next Thursday night and next Saturday morning. If anybody would be interested in coming, we can get you the details on where those are going to be. We'll be posting them on our Facebook and Instagram. If anybody wants to, we really encourage you to follow us on social media. Our social media is doing great right now, thanks to Dynasty. She's doing a great job of getting our clients' stories out there, because a lot of times you don't hear what we do from the people we do it with. So she's doing a great job of interviewing guys, talking to them, getting their story of how they ended up at Open Door and what they're doing. And we've talked to some people that have come through Open Door and have left, and how Open Door has impacted their lives. So it's a very positive organization. We are faith-based, and our church community, and again, you guys are one of the forefront of that, because you have helped us out for so long and you're so consistent. We can't do it without you, and we really appreciate it. And so like things like a food drive and coming next Sunday morning or Saturday morning just to provide breakfast. The food is great. Food's good. We appreciate you serving it. But just being there and giving these guys seeing people that care makes a huge difference. And just knowing that there's a community here in the High Point area that really cares. And I tell this story a lot. In 2021, we had a COVID outbreak in our kitchen. And at the time, the weekend staff came in at noon on Friday and worked till noon on Monday. Well, there was a COVID issue, and that's when you still had to quarantine 14 days, and somebody had it, so they contaminated our weekday staff and our weekend staff. So we've changed how we do that now to prevent that from ever happening again, hopefully. But we didn't have any kitchen staff. So we said, we're not going to be able to provide food. And this was on a Tuesday afternoon. And we said, well, what can we do just to get through? So I got together with my staff at the time and said, let's just ask the community, go on social media, the website, send out an email to everybody on our email contact, and just ask, can you help us get till Saturday with food? Just anything you can provide, because we just wanted to feed the guys in the shelter at the time. And we're like, if we can make it till Saturday, we'll come cook ourselves, which nobody wants me cooking for them. So that was not going to be good, but we were going to do it. So that was at about 2:45 on a Tuesday. About 2:50, I got the first call that somebody said, I'm bringing breakfast. That's great. About 5 minutes later, somebody called. I'm bringing breakfast tomorrow. I said, I've already got somebody bringing breakfast. Okay, well, then I'll bring lunch. At 10 o'clock that night, I went to Walmart and had to buy one of those big paper calendars to keep up with everybody calling to bring food. Atrium Health called, and they said, we've got a commercial kitchen. We're already cooking lunch. Count us in 14 days. We're bringing lunch every day. Churches, every church you can imagine was calling, bringing food, and you guys were one of those churches. Just so you know, you guys were one of them, and you were one of the early calls. We got so much food over that 14-day period that we were wanting to just make it till Saturday and feed the guys in the shelter. Then when we realized food was coming in, we're like, well, we can actually continue to feed the community. Got so much food over the next 14 days, we were calling other shelters throughout Forsyth and Guilford County, giving food away to them to help them out because we had such an excess amount of food. That was that really affected me because I'm like, at no time in that entire situation over 14 days, nobody said, who are you serving? Or why are you serving them? Or how did they get in this situation? It was just people saw a need. They saw, it was humanity. There was a need. It was, you hear it all, it sounds cliche, but, brother helping brother. It was one of those things. And it really affected me because you watch the news so much now, and you hear we're in an election year, and everything's so divisive. And if one person says up, the other one will say down. In that situation, there was none of that. It was someone needs help, we're here to help. That's what it's all about, and that's where our faith-based community is just crucial because you guys are the face of that. You are the ones that are out here providing when the need really does show itself. You are there. So I can't thank you all enough for that and all that you do. Again, Shirley does a great job lining up volunteers. Drew does a great job getting there, having people cooking, doing all the stuff that Drew does. Drew does a lot there. So we are very grateful for that. Again, we do a lot at Open Door, and I would encourage you, we'll post the next time we have an open house, but you can come anytime if you're ever in the area and you just want to walk through and see what we do. I know it's not somewhere that's you think of like, hey, I think I'll go tour the homeless shelter, but it really does make a difference. We have a lot of parents that bring their kids just to kind of show them that, you are very blessed. If you've got a family, you've got friends, you've got, a church base that will help you out. There's people out there that don't have any of that. And I know I, for one, have taken that for granted because, it never occurred to me when I went to Open Door that, I was like, I'll never be homeless. I got, family and friends, Not everybody has that opportunity. And I think a lot of us take that for granted. So, in what you guys do, you really do make a difference. And you might not feel like when you're there serving food or something like that you're making an impact. Trust me, you really are making a huge difference to those who need it the most in our community. I appreciate you having me today. If you have any questions, anything, I'm more than willing to answer. We'll be in the back for a few minutes to answer any questions you got, and I'll turn it back over to the pastor.
Yeah, we are really glad to have Ryan here with us and have Dynasty. This is such a great ministry, and we are proud to be part of it. It's great hearing of all the good things that you're doing and that Open Door is doing, and we just we're proud to be part of that. Did anybody have any questions? We got a little extra time. Anybody have questions for Ryan?
Yeah, we can. If you have men's clothes, we can always use them, especially t-shirts, shorts, anything like that. Bedding, we can always use bedding because everybody that comes, we try to give them. When they leave, we give them the pillow and sheets they came with. If you ever want to donate, if you're just looking for things to donate, toiletries like a bar of soap, toothpaste, those kind of things, and then food is non-perishable food.
All right.
Leslie's house at West End Ministries. And we work really closely with them. They're a great organization as well. They have 25 beds. So that is something that we're talking about. We're not, it's not something I really want to do, but I think if the need's there, we're definitely going to do it. Is when we move into our facility, we're trying to make it big enough and looking down the road that there's more than 25 homeless females in High Point. I was driving down the road last Thursday, and I started noticing more and more homeless people. And I don't know if you guys are noticing. I notice it a lot just because it's what I do. But I started noticing more and more people as I'm driving down. And I got to Eastchester, and I started counting how many people I saw that I knew that were homeless, that we've worked with, that we see around, and people that are just homeless. I counted 17 from Eastchester to Richardson Street that were just standing on Main Street right there, just in the middle of the day. And that wasn't even, they're not in our shelter, and that was men and women, so the need is growing. So for women, we are looking down the road saying, if we do need to grow into that, we'll be prepared for it. But right now it's West End Ministries, and their homeless shelter is called Leslie's House. And for families, just if you ever know a family that needs help, that's the Salvation Army. Yes, sir.
At your new location, will you have like a veterans office to help the veteran population with benefits that they may be eligible for?
Yes, and we currently do that anyways because it's called the Arthur Cassell Transitional Housing, and we have 15 veterans there, and we've got 10 in a different program at Open Door on our main campus that we partner with the VA on. And we have a VA rep that comes one day a week, sometimes 2 days a week, to make sure that those guys get their needs met. But if it's just regular veterans and they have questions, we will have somebody there. That's our goal. And we're actually trying to partner, hopefully, and this is very, very tentative, so don't quote me on this one, but we've talked to Tunnel to Towers, and to try to partner with them as well for our veterans. Any other questions? Thank you all so much.
All right, again, thank you for being here, for Ryan. There's a lot of good information, and hopefully you learned something, that it's not just a men's shelter, it's not just a soup kitchen, it is a lot more than that. And God is blessing this ministry, and there's a lot on the horizon for this ministry. And I'm really excited that we are part of that. If there's anybody here that wants to know more about this ministry, they've got a table outside. Ryan and Dynasty will be outside, and they can answer your questions, give you some information. If you have a question about Jesus, if you have a question about living your life for Him, I'm happy to talk to you after this service. Michael is happy to talk to you after the service. If you're watching online, just call our office this week. Send us an email. We would be happy to talk to you. As we get ready to kind of wrap up the worship, would you join me for a word of prayer? Dear Father in heaven, I thank you for Ryan and for Dynasty and for this ministry at Open Door. I thank you for the good work that is taking place there, for the needs that are being met, and for the gospel that is being shared. Father, continue to bless this ministry. Continue to bless Laurel Oak as we partner with them and strive to reach this community in your name. Father, bless our work. Let it be glorifying to you. Father, we love you. We thank you for your Son, Jesus. We thank you for his sacrifice on the cross and the salvation we find in him. We pray all this in his holy name. Amen.